Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome to this webinar. Before we begin and start kicking off, I want to get us to know each other. So why don't we start by writing down on the chat where you're from, what do you do, and kind of tied to this session, what is your biggest challenge in video creation? That way, I will love to read some of your notes and maybe we can reference back to them and hopefully we can solve some of them and help you out. So while we wait for a minute for the rest of the crew to join in, let's read some of yours. So yeah, we have Joy from Omaha, from Las Vegas. Oh my God, a lot of comments coming in.
Nice.
So feel free to let me in what's your biggest challenge. It's going to be hard to keep up with all of you. Welcome.
A lot of US, a lot of people from the United States.
Yes.
Good to see. Croatia.
LMD.
Wales, I see. Welcome everyone. Hello, hello.
Well, cool. I think let's kick off. Hi, my name is Jonathan. I'm part of the marketing team here at VEED, and today I will be your host. And today's session is called Making Training Videos That Stick, Insights from Social Media with our team Zaal, our team lead for the YouTube team. But before we kick off, a couple of things like for housekeeping. First, this session will be recorded, so don't worry about that. If you miss something, you will receive the full recording on your email afterwards. And we want this to be interactive. So please comment on the chat. And if you have questions during any point, just write them on the questions tab. There are two different tabs. One is chat and the other one is questions. By the end of the session, we will have like roughly 10 minutes to go through as many as we can and hopefully help you with some actionable tips and tricks for you guys. And our panelists today, Team Zaal, just a couple of thoughts. Team leads our 5 YouTube content creators team, and together they have produced, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of training videos, basically helping people just like yourself to improve their editing skills and help them create more engaging videos. He will tell you a bunch of stats, impressive stats of the number of visualizations that the team has managed to get. And yeah, just wanted, without further ado, leave you with Team Zaal. I will be in the chat, just chatting with you guys. See you.
Hey everyone. So yeah, my name is Tim Zaal. I'm the video lead at VEED. I'm just gonna share my screen here because that kicks off the presentation. Yeah, again, I just want to emphasize, if you have any questions, we're gonna leave some room at the end of this webinar for questions and stuff. So feel free to just type them right in and we can cover those at the end. Let me share the screen here. There you go. Oh, oops, hold on. Need to do it again. Apologies. It wasn't full screen. There you go. This should be better. All right. That should be better. Nice. All right. So we're going to kick off with this quote. Employees aren't tired of learning. They're tired of how we're delivering it. This is a very remarkable statement because it's not necessarily about like the fact they don't want to learn. It's just the way it's being perceived. We're living in a society where, video consumption and just content consumption in general is very decisive in the way we perceive things. It's not necessarily the information anymore, because you can have a ton of value in what you say, but if you're not delivering it in a way that ties into how they want to listen to it or how they want to view it, they're just not going to stick around. So that's what we're going to focus on this time during this webinar. So let me continue. Yeah, so your employees, they want to grow. They want to learn to become better employees. They want to excel in their careers. There's always that, burning desire to just be better where they are, no matter for what reason. Maybe they want to be promoted or just, want to excel in their skills. It could be a lot of different reasons. So they want to grow. However, watching training videos feels like a chore. This is unfortunately the reality. And video isn't the issue. So the format video isn't the issue. it's bad video. That's what makes that's where the disconnect is basically. Recently, V did a study called The Science of Great Video, which basically combines neuroscience, as it says on the bottom, video engagement strategy, and first-person employee confessions to show how L&D teams or teams in general can radically improve retention and impact. Over 3,000, almost 4,000 people or employees were interviewed in this study. And it turned out that 4 in 5 employees admit that they don't give their full attention to training videos, which is a significant amount. And only 1 in 5 people say that companies' trainings are effective, which leaves to 4 in 5 people saying it's not effective, which again is an insignificant, number. And why is this the case? There were many different reasons, but we found a pattern throughout. And the 3 most common answers were because they are perceived to be too long, they were perceived to be too slow in video pace, and just bad overall video quality. However, employees still want to learn, and they still learn, but they're just not watching your videos. So the question would be, where are they going? What do they do in order to excel still and to learn and to get better at what they do? They go to social media. They go to TikTok, they go to LinkedIn, they go to Instagram, they watch reels and very fast, bite-sized content in order to consume, both for entertainment as for education. As this statement suggests, employees skip training videos, but they are willing to binge videos on YouTube in order to learn things like Excel, which says a lot, On social media, these are some of the stats that also the report reflect. 83% are already using such platforms to learn. 62% do it every single day. And most say it's more effective than the internal training they get. So they gravitate towards social media to learn naturally. If creators can teach 10 million people in 60 seconds, the L&D space or the training video space should be able to do the exact same. But the question is, and that's why you're here, how can we do that? How can we make this happen? So I figured out, why don't we just take the blockers that we have discovered in the report and turn them into opportunities and use that as some sort of a benchmark to explain what we can do to enhance those training videos. So instead of, focusing on that they're too long, how can we make them more manageable? How can we make slow video pace well-paced? And how can we make bad overall video quality more engaging? So how can we turn it around? That's basically the question, and basically the goal of this webinar. Before we get into that, who am I and why should you listen to me? Jonathan already kindly introduced me just slightly, but just to emphasize, my name is Tim Zaal. I'm the video lead and content creator at VEED. I've been making videos since I was 10, as you can see here, as a 10-year-old, pretending to win an Oscar. So it just cracks me up just seeing myself like that. But yeah, I've been involved in video creation since I was a kid. I was always very fascinated about video and about documenting reality. I don't know. There's something about that just always makes my heart skip a beat. So yeah, very passionate about video. As far as my career at VEED, I've been working here for a bit longer than 4 years now. I started in April 2021. I made over 300 videos for mainly the YouTube channel, which I also run at the moment, VEED Studio it's called. And we make different types of videos about how to convert video to MP3 or how to add subtitles to video or just basically how to make better videos. And mainly we're using the product VEED, obviously, because it's a branded account. So yeah, we're basically focusing on that here. With the team, combined with 4 or 5 other people, we managed to get 80 million organic views to our website or to our YouTube channels, VEED Studio and VEED Creators, and we have a combined subscriber base of 250,000 subscribers. It's heavily SEO based, like this channel or these, at least VEED Studio. But yeah, through strategy and making sure that we hit all the points and that the presentation is good, the quality is high, we were able to make this happen. So I'm very proud of the team to make this the case. So yeah, just to get into the matter again, we're going to focus on these 3 pillars and see how we can improve on each and every single one of them. So first up, how can we make them more manageable? How can we make training videos more manageable? And I divided it in 3 tips, basically. First one is break it up like a series. And this is a narrative that has been going on for a while, but it's still relevant till this day. Because if you make bite-sized videos, you lower the cognitive load, which basically means you reduce the internal, what's it called, cognitive traffic. Because if you just spam a lot of information at people, they're not going to pick out a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of fuzz. It's hard to internalize it like that. So if you make bite-sized videos, you lower the cognitive load, and it's just better for retention overall, both for learning as their attention to pay attention to videos. So for example, let's say you have a 145-minute video. Why not chop them up in 9 5-minute videos? It's way more manageable, way more easy to go through them. They can decide when they watch it, how they watch it, and there's just kind of like a closing and an end, or a beginning and an end. So yeah, very helpful to do it this way. I actually did the same thing for a video course I've made, which I will talk about just a little bit later on. I made a training video course about how to make training videos that are effective. They're like 45 episodes, and in total like 50 minutes. If I would have done that in like one take, that would be a very long watch. But they're all like, videos of maybe 2 minutes or maybe 5 minutes, or some are even like 30 seconds. And they all cover like a specific bit, like creating video scripts, or editing your background for a training video, or adding stock video to your training video. So that if you segment it that way, it's way easier for people to internalize, and much more likely they will engage with those things. And this is a statement I think you need to write down. When people feel control what and when they learn, it changes the way they engage. This is very, very true. So keep this in mind when you build out your training videos. Next up, design around one takeaway. I'm just taking a little sip here. So yeah, design around one takeaway. This is also kind of tying into what I just said about internalizing information. This ties into cognitive traffic jam. So when you're trying to say everything, people remember nothing. So if you're making a video, or if you're making a training video, just try to stick to just one topic, or like one segment that they can remember, or like that's relevant. Because if you have one clear message, it's better for neural coding. So again, better for internalization, or internalizing information, and it also improves the retention. So let's say if you have like a training video and you talk about productivity, you talk about synergy, you talk about motivation. Again, why not just breaking up in pieces or chapters or specific videos, just one about productivity, why it's helpful, and then just finishing it there, going on with synergy, and then motivation. Again, it's just how the brain is tied to learn. It makes it very easy to internalize. It also makes it much more fun, actually, to learn, because it's very bite-sized. And the third one is focus on perception. And what do I mean by perception? I mean the perception of time. It's very important to understand it's not always the actual length of the video. It's the perception of the time of the video that people have. And this basically ties into if a video is very boring from like the first seconds, they're not going to stick around no matter how long the video is. So what you can do here is win with time by doing certain things in the presentation. For instance, just stick to the main value, cut the fluff, and stay on point. Because every single second that you spend on your video should be, value added, basically. If you're talking about all this stuff during the presentation or during your video, people are not going to stick around. It's hard to pay attention. Second is use short sentences. They can be super helpful to just, keep it very brief, keep it very easy. Again, very easy to internalize. And the third, this is just basically one that I think is very helpful, is adding a progress bar. This ties into the goal gradient effect. And what I mean by a progress bar, by the way, is those bars that you see. And sometimes it's a circle, but a bar that just kind of fills up as you watch the video. Maybe you guys also know when you read a blog, when you go down, it just kind of fills up as well. Same as for video. And this ties in, like I said, to the goal gradient effect, which basically means when you're almost at the end of something, you tend to actually finish it because you're like, you know what? I'm so close. Why stop here? I'm just going to finish it. So it's kind of a cheat code, but it could help by adding one of those to just give people the impression of like, guys, it's not going to be this long. Just stick around for a little bit longer and you're there, you know? So for the completion rate of a training video, this could definitely be an extra emphasis on it. This could be very helpful. All right, so for the pace, how can we make them fast-paced, or at least seemingly fast-paced? First up, hook them instantly. Super important. It's so the first 3 seconds are critical, especially in social media. This is like super critical because you're competing against a million other creators that are making videos. If the first 3 seconds are not interesting, they're just gonna swipe and continue doom scrolling or whatever they do. So you need to have something that just instantly hooks them in. So something that is emotionally tied, visually tied, or unexpected. So something that just makes them stay. For instance, and this is just an example, but there is something called the Gen Z shake. I'm not in the Gen Z generation, so I had to look this up as well. But what this basically means is that whenever some people record their video, they just basically position their camera as they speak and then just continue the video. And this shake has some sort of a unexpected, more of a raw feel that people gravitate towards. They're like, oh, what's going on here? This feels very raw, not so static and not so formal. So that could definitely help with like getting people's attention. Another way is something I use myself for one of my videos was, and a lot is happening here, is quick movement. So what you can do is, for instance, like zoom out, and this is very extreme, by the way, but you can zoom out, add a camera flare, use some sound effects. This is a GIF, so I'm not, you don't hear any sounds. But yeah, just quick movement at the beginning could also be very helpful to get attention. This also counts for narrative itself, like it could also be the way you speak. So you can start off by saying very, base value, like what it is about. Like today, we're going to talk about cybersecurity's best practices. That's like a very normal way to start. But how can you turn it around for people to, be more enticed? So you can make it a story, right? So our CEO just got hacked because you opened this email. And then if you start out like that, just make a fun little story about, obviously the topic is not fun, but you can make it more enticing that way. I think people gravitate towards stories, which I'm going to tell later as well. But this could be super interesting to implement. Second, for making it well-paced, is motion every 5 to 10 seconds. And take the seconds as a grain of salt. This is more of like some sort of a guideline for yourself. What I mean is micro motions re-engage the brain. And micro motions are animated subtitles or visual emphasis like lower thirds, or sound effects like I just spoke about, or changing the scene. So let's say you don't have to record your training video in just like one static motion. You can also do one line inside and then the other line outside. You can add facts on the bottom with lower thirds. Animated subtitles definitely help with like making it more visually engaging. So things like that without trying to overdo it, because I see a lot of people overdoing it as well to get attention. You don't want to overwhelm them, but try to be subtle, like I said, with like 5 to 10 seconds every single time that there's some motion involved. Could be a transition, like I said, or could be lower third. Something creative, something that just emphasizes the narrative and makes it interesting to look at. And 3, mind your speech. So this is more tied into the presentation of it. So first up, keep it very punchy and conversational. So talk like you're talking to a friend. There's no need to be very corporate. I think that works to a certain extent. It's good to be professional, but if you talk in your non-natural voice, people instantly feel like a disconnect because you're trying to pretend to be someone that you're not. So like if you don't speak like that on the work floor and you're going to speak completely different on camera, it's like, oh, what are you doing? Like you're not being yourself. So being very punchy while being conversational could be very interesting and helpful for attention. Closing your sentences. This is also very important. It helps people to internalize the information better again and absorb the points. and avoid filler words. So yeah, I mean, we're all human. I'm doing the same thing even in this presentation. I'm saying a lot of and ah. But if, in case you're doing a video presentation or a video training video, it's just good to kind of ditch it. And if you do it during your presentation, to just cut them out, because yeah, it could influence the way the cadence is in the video. So yeah, very snappy and being on point could be very helpful here. And lastly, bad quality. How can we turn it into something engaging? First, use stories. Like I just said before, stories stick. And again, I want to emphasize on this a lot because even the report says 47 or 74% said that storytelling helped them retain information better. Stories just stick. You know, we drive on stories. We drive on emotional connection with stories and human experiences. That's just how we relate and absorb information. So what can you do here? Some practical tips. You can start off with a quote like I just did before, because that sets the tone of the presentation or the video that you're doing. Use real world fails. Fails ties into some sort of like urgency and scarcity. Because if another company fails by doing something that you guys want to do, but or I should rephrase this. If another company does something and you're like, oh, we really don't want this to happen to us, and it's just good to make sure that if you talk about the fails of other people, you can make the employees not scared, but like just aware of like, guys, if we don't do this, we're gonna fail. So it's just again an interesting storytelling way to make it more interesting and make it personal. Like if you find ways to incorporate quotes or stories or even from your own personal experience that you can include in your training video, that's so helpful because it's helpful for that connection. It might, you're recording the video by yourself and no one's looking at it, but just pretend that again you're talking with a friend or you have that human contact, because if you're making it personal, you make it relatable and people gravitate towards authenticity and personality. Just an example for the real life scenario fails. So let's say last week a company missed one update, the client stopped replying. 2 weeks later, they lost a $500,000 deal, and this could all be prevented if they did this. And then you could just get into the gist of things. This is just an example. You could rephrase it the way you want, obviously, but just to get the idea of like, this is what happened and this is what we need to do so we don't end up like them, kind of like that. And lastly, and I think this is the most important thing, make employee the hero. We're just going to take a sip here again. Make employee the hero. This is extremely important to remember because it taps into self-interest. We're all human, and unfortunately we are pretty much a self-driven society. So whatever we do, we want to have it to be beneficial for us. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think in a way it's good to, focus on self-care, but we can use that in our training videos because like I said, we're naturally driven to pay attention when something benefits us. So if we can phrase it in a certain way that helps them, if we can make it sound like it helps them, they're way more likely to engage. If we're doing it from like a company's perspective, saying, yeah, as a company, we're standing right here with our stats and we want to increase our MRR or something. We need to do this. They're like, okay, well, whatever. I'm just getting my paycheck and just doing my thing. I'm not going to watch this. But if you tie it into something that could help them as well, making them better employees. I actually have an example here. So let's say instead of saying, here's how to use this tool, you can say, here's how to save 2 hours a day by doing it the easy way, and then just get into the gist of things. And the save 2 hours a day is very critical here because they're like, oh, I want to save 2 hours of my work every single day or every single week. I'm interested, bring it on. So that benefits the company because it affects productivity, but you make it sound like it also benefits them, which it essentially does. But it's kind of a win-win situation. So again, you can be very clever with the way you phrase things. So yeah. A lot of information. So I'm just going to do a very quick recap here. So first up, break it up in series. design around one takeaway, so just like one topic or one thing to talk about. You can, by the way, you can screenshot this as well if you want. Focus on perception, so the perception of time. So it's not only about the time length of the video, it's also about how it's being perceived. So make it engaging in that sense. Hook them instantly. The first 3 seconds are the most important. Motion every 5 to 10 seconds. Minding your speech, so being very punchy, conversational, using storytelling, like I just mentioned, and making employee the hero. So keep those things in mind, especially the last one. I think the make employee the hero, I think that's the most important one. But yeah, these are the takeaways. So thank you for listening. Before I continue, before we do the Q&A, I just want to emphasize on the fact that there's a free report you can download from the Science of Great Video. Maybe Jonathan can talk a bit more about it later on, but a link will be provided in this chat. It's completely free. You can read through it. It's very, very helpful to read. A lot of insights that I also used for this presentation. So definitely recommend it. Jonathan, anything you want to add before I continue?
No, I just dropped the link
Okay,
on
cool.
chat. Also related to this, we just launched our VEED Academy with the first course from the one and only team on how to train your team effectively. So if you like this condensed view of tips and tricks, we have a very long, well, not too long, like very fleshed out course on how to make good training videos. So I encourage you to sign up and check it out. Let me find the link for you to also subscribe to those and let us know what you think.
Nice. Yeah.
Appreciate the audience has been very engaged on the chat. It's been hard to keep up. Now I want to open the floor for questions. So I encourage you to make the most out of this time now that you have a content creator here who creates video every single day. Just to drop what is the thing that you're struggling with, maybe from these tips or other stuff that you've been trying, and maybe we can go over it and ask questions from Tim. So let me catch up with the chat a little bit.
Yep.
And the questions. So is there a cheat sheet template that uses this framework for creating effective videos? Do you use a cheat sheet or a template in your teams to Steam?
A cheat sheet. I have to say, I mean, I guess ChatGPT is a very huge cheat sheet.
Yeah, but
in a way,
it's a very good call out. It's something that we could definitely incorporate into the course that I just shared.
Yeah.
As more than as a framework or a checklist of stuff that you can maybe reference back to of principles or good best practices for video creation. So thank you, Brian, for this idea.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
I have one here from Pearl Garza Hinojosa. Is it better to do the training video in person, voiceover only, or with AI avatar? Any hot take on that?
That's a tricky one. I guess it depends on the topic, because like if it's some sort of like compliance training video, because some of the information could be a bit drier than others. Like if you talk about productivity, motivation, that kind of stuff, like something that ties into the like properly like the person itself, I would do the voiceover or just you, because it's like very human type information, which I preferably do as like a person. But if it's, you know, compliance stuff or like general updates or policy updates, you can try an avatar. I think that's a good way to distinguish the two for like certain use cases. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and also maybe circling back to the challenge that you might be having, part of the results of our study is people want more lifelike, engaging, fast-paced type of video, just like they're used to as they scroll. And sometimes with AI avatars, the tech is not quite there for some of that expressiveness. It doesn't give you some of that. So if that's the kind of style of video that you're going through, I would recommend is like recording the video. But for some companies, is maybe legislation change quite a lot, and you need to update segments of your videos.
Yeah.
In those scenarios, AI avatars are really, really, really helpful. Hope that answers your question,
Good
Per.
show.
So, does this apply beyond an employer-employee setting? As an example, online learning product for professionals or curious members of the public? Or is there anything specific you will do it differently?
Oh, good question. I think it's kind of universal in a way. I think now we just tied the two together as like social media. What can we learn from social media and apply to training? But this is very universal. Like, for instance, making the employee the hero. It could also be a client or, uh, partners, or it could be anything. So I guess like it's very easily translatable to other scenarios. That's my take. So. It's just important to make sure that like if you bring value, that you speak the language of the learner, and again, you can provide a lot of these tips or the things that I just provided for many different scenarios. That way, you just have to remember, who am I talking to, and how can I make them important and make it beneficial for them too. It's almost like a sales thing, to be fair. Like it's almost like psychologically a psychological thing. But hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, and just to add on top of that, some of the psychology insights or science insights that we got from the study actually apply to any type of video because they're related on how the human brain learns and what are the processes. So stuff like don't try to say too many things into a single video are applicable to almost any kind of video, but especially for learning, because you want to leave room for the brain to assimilate and retrieve all of that information.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of questions coming in, so hopefully we will have time to go through more of them. Simon, I think he has a practical question. We would like to use opener shots of the company and closing slides with our corporate identity at the beginning and end of an internal training video. We hope this will support our corporate branding, but we're concerned it might not be engaging. Any way that you might recommend them to kind of having on-brand and engaging videos?
I think it depends on how the middle of the video will also look, because I only hear the intro and the outro, which is always helpful to do, I guess. But I wouldn't try not to overdo it, because I hear a bit of a hesitation in the message already, which is healthy, I guess, because you don't want to overdo it and you want to be on brand, but you don't want to, stick it or push. What's the word? Like push it down their throat. Like, this is the company that I have, and so try to be subtle. Maybe you can introduce the logo at the beginning, just make it animated in and then animated out at some point, and just like use all the primary and secondary colors of your brand identity to still have that like brand feel to your videos, because eventually it's the consistency throughout all the training videos that you make that people are going to recognize. Hey, that's from this company. I recognize this. Like that's the branding aspect of it. But feel free to test it out. I would try to not spend too much time on the intro in that regard, because again, the first 3 seconds are the most important thing. If people just see a logo pop up and they're not interested, or like, oh, what's this? Like, or they're not even concerned about what's going to be said, they're already gone. So just keep that in mind.
Cool. Hopefully that answers your question. One technical one from May, I think I can help you out, is why is the teleprompter does not show up in my dashboard? I would always have to go to veed.io teleprompter. There is an easier way to find the teleprompter. If you go to the recorder, you can have the teleprompter right there whenever you're recording. So if you move it slightly up, closer to the camera, or if you have external phone, it will be more convenient for you to use the teleprompter. So it's kind of in there in the recorder. Another question recollected by Aria, for making marketing videos, can we use customized stock instead of generating using one generated by AI. Also, sometimes voice accents differ on AI. How can we correct it? Any insights, or have you tried this?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Two questions. One is the use of stock videos, I assume for B-roll,
Yeah.
instead of generative AI stock.
Mm.
One, it's on voice AdSense with AI voices.
Oh, so like when to use both, or like if which one is more applicable for the
Yep.
scenario, you mean? That's a good question. Like, it ties into the context of it. Like, I think stock videos are great. They're usually high quality, and they sometimes show exactly what you want to show, or like, it could be good secondary footage to add. For the people who don't know what a B-roll is, it's basically like whenever there's somebody talking to the camera, for instance, sometimes you see a video that you hear during the narration, and it's just showing, like, let's just say I'm talking about, the Netherlands is I'm from the Netherlands. The Netherlands is such a great country, you should really visit. And let's say I'm naming like 3 tips why you should go, or reasons why you should go. I'm just showing the Netherlands, like just some overview shots or something. That's called a B-roll. um, if you can find it in a stock video library, I would use that. But if that's not the case, or you're looking for something super, super specific, just generate it. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would prefer real stock videos over AI generated videos, because they always look a bit more realistic if there's, if it's actual footage. So
At least until now. In 2 months,
for
we will
now, yeah, it could be different tomorrow. You never know. But yeah, just that's personal preference, and also depends on the context.
I have a good one I think most of the audience can relate to. From Angus, if I'm creating a video to train employees or your audience or another audience on one of our new product offerings, how will I create a story there to keep them engaged? Maybe I expand this is especially with boring topics or procedural topics. How do we use storytelling to make them more engaging?
So what was the company? What was the beginning of the question?
I'm creating a video to train employees on
Oh,
one of our new product offerings. How do I make them engaging with story?
oh, yeah, you put me on the spot here.
Well,
That's a
it's very, very similar to what we do when we launch a new product, when we lead with the value
There you go. Yes,
um, of this feature or this new product release is what this can help your audience, your employee do for them, what can now they achieve, and you
yeah,
get it from there, and they will be more interested in the how now that they have the why in mind.
exactly. That's it. Yeah, I guess it's more of like, an overall like sales question in that sense. Like, how can I make sure that this lands? And like you said, if it's beneficial for them or it solves a problem, that's always, your go-to question to ask. Why should somebody use this? So yeah, I agree.
Cool. Let me find general questions. There's some of them more product related. We will go through this maybe offline or over email just to be mindful of time.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, one for you actually is, are 5 minutes informative videos too short for YouTube?
No, not at all. I mean, we sometimes post 30-second videos on our on our YouTube channel, not just shorts, like full on like long form or horizontal videos. YouTube doesn't punish if videos are short or long. Like, it's basically now, are you gonna do a horizontal version, or are you gonna do a short version, so a vertical video? All is good. As long as it provides value from beginning to end, you're good. Like, you shouldn't worry too much about the time itself. Again, keep it engaging, but yeah, if it provides value and you think it feels good, do a 5-minute video. It's all good. On YouTube, it's fine.
Amazing. We have a couple of minutes for a couple of questions if anyone has any. I've seen a couple of product related questions. Aria just sent you our Discord community where I encourage you to leave them there because it will be way easier for you to assist you on specific issues that you might be having.
Yes.
So actually, I have then a question for the audience. Have you any of you have tried some of these tips before? What was the result? Maybe Tim, can you pull again the summary slides for the
Yeah,
audience one more
sure.
time and see if someone has tried them?
Of course, of course. Let me pull them up. There you go.
So leaving it here a few seconds, just
Yeah.
digest it, and just maybe some questions on your side and how to implement them. Meanwhile, we have two new questions coming up. So first, from Anna Tiffer, what is your personal preference for video, landscape or portrait? What do you?
Ooh, I love that question. It depends on the platform you're posting on mainly, like, and also the type of content you're making. It's kind of a boring answer, but if your like personal branding or your business is highly active on Instagram or TikTok, vertical would be perfect because that's the format they use the most. Um, what I usually do, because we do both, is I shoot it in vertical, and I shoot it in horizontal, so 16 by 9, or landscape. And then if I want to make a short out of it, I make sure that I'm centered correctly, like in the frame, so that I can make a vertical version of that horizontal video. So you basically have one for horizontal and one for vertical. So that's I also mentioned that in the video course actually, because sometimes you have a very long video, you just want to post it like that, but then making snippets from that long video in order to tease that video or promote it or something like that. Making vertical videos from that horizontal video could be very helpful. So, long story short, I do love horizontal. That's my go-to. And if I want to, I would make a vertical out of that horizontal.
And also in terms of platform where the viewer or the employee will see it,
Yeah.
please correct me, Tim, but do you have a preference if it's on a computer? Will you prefer landscape, or if it's on a phone that it will mostly be consumed? Portrait, or it doesn't matter anymore at this stage?
It doesn't matter too much. I know that more people are learning through phone. So because if you're commuting, for instance, which are, a lot of people commute, they just want to put it up very quickly, like a podcast or something like that. They're not listening to a training video as a podcast, but you're way more mobile with your smartphone. And let's say you're in the metro and you just quickly want to see a training video. That's way easier with your phone than as opposed to desktop. So something to take in mind, but just read the room as well. Like, ask your employees, like, what do you guys prefer? Because ultimately they have the answers for you. So if they anonymously say, or everyone would say like, yeah, we're all watching it on phone, you know what to do. That's kind of what I would do.
Audience first. Last two questions. How do you choose the length in doing clips? Any rule of thumb?
There's no rule of thumb here necessarily, but we have something on our YouTube channel called the Minute Series, in which we explain some steps that you can take, for instance, adding subtitles or something like that, or adding text to a video. We try to keep that under 1 minute. So the benchmark would be probably under 60 seconds if you're making it short. And for like a long form video, we usually do like 2 to 5 minutes or so, depending again on the video itself. It's very hard to say, but yeah, under 60 seconds. So 30 to 60 seconds is usually really good. Yeah, that's usually what I go for.
Amazing. And I think we have time for just one more.
Nice.
What strategies do you think are the most effective for creating engaging videos without resorting to clickbait?
So what did you say at the beginning?
What strategies do you think are the most effective for creating engaging videos without clickbait?
Does the person mean like thumbnails and titles, or like within the video itself? I reckon the first.
I don't know exactly, but I think also it's related to the title of the video and the
Okay.
promise that maybe
Yeah.
in the description?
Clickbaiting is, I mean, yes, it can garner a lot of views, but because, like, oh, whoa, this sounds super interesting, I'm going to watch it. They're going to be disappointed if they watch and you don't meet expectations. So that's going to hurt the brand eventually. So try to be honest, but you can emphasize the honesty a bit, or like the statement, like really make it emotional, or really like go all in on that. That's good, because you're not lying. As long as you're not lying, you're good. But you can make it super super engaging. That's very hard to say without like context.
Yeah, I will say actually that clickbait is an unfulfilled promise. If
Yeah,
something was promised to you either by the thumbnail, the heading of the video, the description of the
correct.
course, like that's why you want to bid, or maybe the hook. If you finish and you didn't get that answer or that reward in terms of information, then it's clickbait. But
Yeah,
I will encourage people to experiment with creative hooks and play with emotion, um,
yeah,
as much as possible in the first few seconds. As long as if you deliver what you said that you're going to deliver, I don't think it's considered clickbait.
agreed.
So I wanted to say thank you to you, Tim, and to the audience today. It's been amazing to see the chat coming up with so many questions and comments. It's been definitely hard to keep up, but I love the energy. As a reminder, this webinar will be sent as a follow-up, because we have a few questions around that. And just to tell you again, if you haven't seen it, check the rest of the webinars that are part of the Science of Great video series. And if you haven't seen the report, just click on that link that we sent, and you could download it right away. Hope you find it insightful.
Yes.
And thank you very much.
Just one final thing, shameless
Oh,
plug here, but in case you have questions, feel free to email me on timzaal@veed.io, or connect with me on LinkedIn. We can answer the questions. I can send you through to links, maybe to the report again, or some other things, or maybe the course. Or if you have questions about VEED in general, feel free to reach out. So yeah, feel free to connect.
thank you. Bye-bye.